is the Now Morning Show. Lisa, Carrie, and look who's joined us on set. It's Wellness Wednesdays. So Dr. Saf is here. Good morning, Dr. Saf.
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
I was just checking the Facebook. You know, of course, today is International Arabic Day. And Carrie, one of our viewers said Bismillah in the name of Allah.
Yeah, so Bismillah,
Bismillah.
Rahim,
Bismillah.
is I begin in the name of God. We call it God Allah. And what's beautiful about it is says, hey, most merciful, most magnificent.
Okay.
And that's something, you know, in this time, in this season, starting not just everything. What we are taught is to start everything in the name of God.
Right.
Every action, saying like a prayer.
Right.
And, you know, beginning with that grace
Yes.
is a nice time to also remember just that grace, what it does to our lives, what it does to our bodies.
Yeah.
So we're here for Wellness Wednesday.
Exactly.
Beautiful
And I know
way to
that
start.
in the break, just to segue, in the break you were telling Carrie, I could speak a little bit of Arabic for you. So we decided to have you help us with that
Yeah.
post, which was put in our Facebook post. But we actually here for Wellness Wednesday.
That's right.
And today we're talking about coping with those Christmas blues. Dr. Saf, how are we starting?
So, I think we should first recognize that Christmas is not necessarily a happy time for everyone. They're coping with, Christmas triggers a lot of stressors. The biggest one is the financial stressor.
Yes.
And how do we keep up? How do we maintain those Christmas gifts? So I'm looking forward to that segment later on creative Christmas gifts.
Yes.
But a lot of persons would have dealt with losing someone during the year, and now celebrating Christmas, that grieving process, there's nothing to feel happy about in
and it
their
could
life.
be losing family through death, but also losing a relationship.
Yes.
Some people end up, you know, breaking up
Of
and having a
course.
very tough time
Yes.
during the Christmas period.
Yeah. So you see those expectations that we would have attached onto different relationships, jobs. There are a lot of persons who are not within that economic means that they had, and it drives persons, if you surround yourself in that space of loneliness, it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So there are financial stressors that affects your well-being. There's that entire aspect of losing someone. There's several other stressors that can put someone in the Christmas blues.
So let's give some coping tips.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, this morning, another conversation, someone was sharing with me that they got a diagnosis of, and I wouldn't share the diagnosis, but they got a diagnosis, which means there's a prognosis of. And I'm like, so how are you coping? She's like, Dr. Saf, I am going to travel. I am going to turn up for my chemo, getting a pedicure and a manicure. So it is those coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
It's how we reframe what we're feeling. Right? Of course, understanding if we're grieving, understand, honor that loss. If we're feeling financially constrained, don't feel overly judged and pressured to give gifts that are beyond your means. I got
That's a big one, though.
I got the most precious gift. Somebody packaged pastels and a little punch of crème.
That's a great gift.
Yes, and packaged the Christmas cake.
Yes.
And that was my Christmas gift.
But I think you need to speak to the persons who are receiving more than those who are giving.
Yeah.
Because sometimes pressure is put on persons who are giving by those who are receiving.
By those who are
That's
receiving.
what you give me. That's what you can give me, you know.
Yeah. And pressure, judgment is put on persons both ways.
Yeah.
There are a lot of strong persons putting on the face
Yeah.
and still have those pressures that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So especially to the strong ones out there, understand it's okay to lean in, share a little bit about, find your circles. So
But you know there are
tips.
some persons who generally persons would not believe that they may be going through some financial stress, and the general consensus is that but she could afford or he could afford, you know, so that pressure is put on that person.
Up front, I think we need to accept that everyone has a challenge they're dealing with.
Yes.
If we accept that up front, everyone is dealing with a challenge. Not because a look is what it is.
Right.
Doesn't mean there's a challenge
I think by
behind
now
that
people
screen.
should know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So let's look at our own selves. Let's look at removing some of that judgment and expectations and just look at the way we can infuse more love and kindness.
Right.
I saw a study, something happened in Sweden. For the entire Christmas month, December, the teacher gave homework of acts of kindness. No homework. Every day, all the children had to do was go out and do something kind.
That's beautiful.
How about doing an act of kindness as a gift?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I do want to point out that there's certain symptoms that we must be aware of. That loneliness, that overly crying, the guilt, the changes in your sleep pattern. So sometimes the sadness, the blues goes a little beyond, and we must be mindful of it to not only look out for it in ourselves, but our brothers and our sisters. So let's look at really the spirit of Christmas being our sisters' keepers. Let's be our Miss Nigeria. Let's each be a Miss Nigeria for each other and celebrate each other in simple things. Acts of kindness, hugs, and really understand that asking for help is not an act of weakness.
What about if you notice a family member or friend exhibiting what you just mentioned, you know, excessive crying, perhaps sleeping extra, withdrawing from family events and so on? What advice do you give to the family members or friends to help that person?
So again, the first thing is the no judgment, because the first thing Trinis like to say with a typical Pekong, wappen girl, wappen boy, you didn't want to smile today? Guess what? It's okay to not smile. It's okay to not always be in that happy mood. Observe the behavior. If the changes are something that is completely different in their behavior patterns, find a comfortable zone where they can approach in a very tactful, mindful way. What I've noticed is when you start to open up a little bit and say, I'm going through this, that, the other, the person automatically opens up. Be that person that gives the pillar of support, even if you think that person doesn't want to open up. Just kind of, even if they're in isolation, reach out. Hear what? Don't invite, offer to pick up and go with the person. Right?
Okay.
So putting the invitation here, invite to this XYN parties. But guess what? That puts a host of pressures. Right. Offer to pick up, offer to be the company, offer to do something simpler. It may not be the Christmas party. It may be a trek, a hike, the beach. Something removed from Christmas, but still active in the Christmas season. That's right. But don't allow the symptoms you're seeing, especially if it's changes in behavior, to go without acting upon it.
Right, wonderful.
I don't want to be morbid, but within the last 2 weeks, a couple of my friends within the Psychiatry Association have shared that there have been about 5 suicides already reported.
At this time of year, that's usually a concern. But we want to reach out to you. If you're feeling like that, get help.
No one is above those risks.
Life continues. It always gets better tomorrow. It always gets better tomorrow.
As Carrie shared earlier on, and you shared, there's hope in every day. Look at the way the sun rises. God gives us a new day every day. When I think about what's happening with our migrant challenges and the migrants coming in, they had to give up their life to come to a new country. They believed in that thing called hope. Find that seed of hope, plant it with someone else and allow it to grow.
All right. Dr. Saf, we're going to have to leave it there. I know you're going to be back with us next week, Wednesday, unless next week, Wednesday is
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
All right. So we'll see you on the other side. In January. Wonderful. Happy Christmas to you then. All right.
Merry Christmas. And Merry Christmas, Carrie. Merry Christmas, Trinidad and Tobago. See you next year.
All right. Let's take in a few messages. Come right back here on the Now Morning Show.